The moment the ceiling cracked open, Marcus Penner knew he should have stayed in bed. He was in the middle of a routine inspection aboard the Terran Union research vessel Halcyon, checking the secondary coolant lines, when the overhead bulkhead split apart like a peeled tin can. A blinding shaft of green light poured in, followed by the deafening screech of metal being torn like wet paper. The ship lurched, and Marcus was thrown across the narrow corridor, smacking shoulder first into the opposite wall. His vision swam, ears ringing, ribs aching. Then came the silence. Not the peace and quiet kind. The kind that meant the ship around him had either powered down or been completely gutted. Marcus coughed, spat blood, and groaned. Water, he mumbled, struggling to sit up. And painkillers would be amazing. Before he could finish the thought, a shadow fell over him. It wasn't a rescue crew. It wasn't even remotely human. It had a long, lean frame plated in something that shimmered like obsidian dipped in oil. Its eyes, 6 of them, glowed faintly cyan, scanning Marcus with clinical detachment. It didn't speak. It didn't move. It just stared. Marcus squinted. You come with a med kit? Or are you new to the whole saving lives concept? The alien tilted its head, then stepped aside. Behind it hovered a vessel unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. No sharp edges, no visible propulsion. Just a floating teardrop of matte silver, humming with energy. 2 more creatures floated down beside the first. They didn't walk, they hovered. All 3 now stared at Marcus, whispering in a language that sounded like pebbles clinking in glass jars. I'm not dying for a first contact moment, Marcus muttered. I just want water and painkillers. My shoulders wrecked. One of the aliens turned toward him. It extended a long arm, too many joints, too many fingers, and tapped a device on its chest. A moment later, a synthesized voice crackled from a speaker embedded in its torso. Species, human. Condition, terminal. Marcus blinked. Wait, what? Cranial acoustic disturbance indicates neural collapse. Classification, headache, terminal. I have a concussion, Marcus said. I'm not terminal. I hit my head and my shoulders probably dislocated. Just give me water and painkillers. The alien turned to another and whispered more pebble speak. The second alien stepped forward and scanned him with a circular device. A beam passed over his torso, then focused on his head. A soft chime rang out. Pain center activity detected. Neurological decay probable. Human is experiencing systemic failure. I'm experiencing pain, Marcus snapped. Because I got thrown into a wall. That's not systemic failure, that's physics. The first alien, clearly the leader, raised both hands and emitted a low-frequency pulse. The other 2 backed away. A panel opened in the side of the hovering ship and a metallic platform extended. Human to be preserved for study. Prevent further decay. Place in stasis. No! Marcus tried to stand, but pain shot through his shoulder like lightning. He collapsed again, panting. I don't need stasis. I need water. And painkillers. One of the aliens turned to the leader. Request. Allow terminal subject to retain awareness. Data may be gathered in active state. The leader hesitated, then gave a solemn nod. Marcus was lifted gently, but firmly by an unseen force and floated toward the vessel. Guys, he groaned. I swear, if you put me in a tank or something, I'm going to throw up. I need a doctor, a human doctor, or at least a first aid kit. Inside the craft, the air was warm and oddly sweet. The walls pulsed with soft light. He was lowered onto a padded table that conformed to his body. The pressure on his shoulder eased slightly as the table adjusted. A 4th alien entered, a shorter one with a pack of vials and tools. It approached with a needle the size of a turkey baster. Wait. What is that? Hydration delivery. Nutritional supplement. Neural stabilization. That's not water. That's a science experiment. The alien paused, then turned to the others. Subject resists stabilization. The leader emitted another pulse. Let subject choose method of hydration. Observe rituals. A small nozzle descended from the ceiling and sprayed a fine mist into the air. Marcus sighed. That's not water either. That's spa treatment. Eventually, one of the aliens mimicked a drinking motion, then left and returned with a container. It was translucent and filled with a clear liquid. Marcus sniffed it suspiciously. Is this water? Hydrogen-oxygen composite, filtered. Non-toxic to human. He drank. It was warm, but it was water. Thank you, he breathed. Painkillers, he added. The shorter alien rummaged through its pack again. It pulled out a flat disc, stuck it to Marcus's temple, and tapped it. A gentle warmth spread across his skull. Analgesic field activated. Neural pain suppression at 90%. Okay, Marcus said, slumping back. This is better. Still don't like being called terminal. The leader stepped forward. Clarify. Headache terminal is designation for humans exhibiting cranial pain. Previous specimens ceased function shortly after. Marcus squinted. Wait, you've met other humans? 3. All experienced cranial agony. All expired. They probably had brain hemorrhages or something worse. I just hit my head. The alien paused. Human biology is unstable. Damage thresholds inconsistent. Diagnosis unreliable. That's because we're complicated, Marcus said. You can't diagnose us based on a headache. The shorter alien tilted its head. You asked for painkillers. Indicates high suffering. Marcus groaned. Yes, because I was thrown into a wall by your ship cutting mine open like a sardine can. The leader stood silent for a moment. Apologies. Acquisition protocol lacked finesse. Understatement of the year, Marcus muttered. He lay still for a while, letting the warmth of the analgesic field numb the throbbing in his head and shoulder. The aliens watched him, occasionally making notes or adjusting equipment. Then, unexpectedly, the ship jolted. The lights flickered. An alarm pulsed low and rhythmic. What now? Marcus asked. The leader moved to a console. Hostile vessel detected. Pursuit initiated. Pursuit. Original acquisition not authorized by Galactic Concord. Retrieval enforcers approaching. Marcus sat up, groaning. You kidnapped me without permission? Study of terminal species requires urgency. Stop calling me terminal. The ship banked hard. Equipment rattled. One of the other aliens stabilized Marcus with a gravity field. Brace for evasive maneuvers. Can't I just go home? Marcus asked. The leader approached. If you survive, yes. Not comforting. The ship dove, spun, and then a shockwave hit them. The lights went red. Panel exploded in sparks. Marcus was thrown from the table, landing hard on his injured side. He cried out, clutching his shoulder. The medic alien reattached the analgesic disc and administered another dose. Fracture confirmed. Clavicle breach. Stabilizing. Wait, it's broken? Confirmed by resonance scan. Marcus groaned. Of course it is. The vessel was still shaking. Explosions rocked the hull. The leader barked orders in its native language. Finally, the ship stilled. Pursuers evaded. Cloak re-engaged. Marcus lay flat on the table. Sweat beaded his forehead. His breathing was shallow. Please, he said, voice hoarse. Just let me rest. I'm not dying. I'm just in pain. Observation continues, the leader said. Terminal state may yet yield insights. Marcus stared at the ceiling. I just wanted water and painkillers. That's all. As the aliens resumed their watch, he closed his eyes, wondering how many more misunderstandings would happen before someone finally believed he wasn't terminal. Marcus woke up to the sound of something grinding softly beneath him, like a distant drum being dragged across stone. His first thought was that the analgesic patch had worn off. The second was that the table he was lying on was no longer level. He opened his eyes. The overhead lights had dimmed into a pale violet glow, casting long shadows across the curved walls. The ship was quiet, too quiet. No more alarms. No more evasive maneuvers. Just that low vibration, like the vessel was coasting through something thick and reluctant. You didn't vaporize, so I guess that's a good sign. Came a voice, mechanical and flat, the translator embedded in one of the aliens' chests. It belonged to the short one, the one with the oversized medical kit. It stood beside a new device, a squat cylinder with blinking green rings spiraling up its surface. Marcus propped himself onto his good elbow. His shoulder was wrapped in what looked like a transparent mesh, pulsing gently against his skin. The pain wasn't gone, but it had dulled to a manageable throb. What time is it? He rasped. Chronometric units irrelevant to human cycles. You were unconscious for 6 planetary rotations. 6 days. Possibly. Our ship's orbit was disrupted. We entered a dense molecular cloud to evade retrieval. Marcus looked around. Where's the tall one? The one with the voice like a microwave having a breakdown. Commander Ulith has entered the neutral observation chamber to report findings. You are currently the primary anomaly. Still not dead, huh? Marcus swung his legs off the table and immediately regretted it. His body felt like it had been flattened and re-inflated with gravel. You exhibit unusual regenerative patterns, the medic said, scanning him again. Bone healing rate exceeds projections. Soft tissue trauma remains but is stabilizing. Marcus blinked. You're surprised I'm not falling apart? Previous specimens did not maintain cohesion past 2nd rotation. I'm not a biology experiment gone wrong. You just happened to grab someone stubborn enough to survive a flying metal coffin. The medic adjusted the blinking cylinder. This unit is programmed to observe your pain rituals. My what? Behavioral responses to discomfort. You vocalize frequently. You contort facial muscles. You emit sarcasm. That's not a ritual. That's called coping. Your methods are inefficient. They do not directly reduce pain. They make me feel like I'm still in control. The medic paused, then made a note on a floating panel. You assert dominance over suffering. I wouldn't put it that dramatically, Marcus muttered, standing slowly. I just refuse to let it win. The floor beneath him shifted again. He grabbed the edge of the table for balance. Are we still moving? We are descending toward a planetary outpost. Not Earth, I assume. No. A neutral biosphere. You're being transferred to a controlled habitat. I'm not a lab rat. The medic tilted its head. You are not. Lab rats expire faster. Marcus glared. Is that your idea of a joke? No. It is an observation. He hobbled toward the wall, one hand pressed to his ribs. So what now? You're gonna drop me into some alien zoo and see how long I last. You will be given tools to replicate your comfort rituals. Water, heat, solitude. Solitude. Human interaction is a variable. We must isolate it. Marcus winced as he leaned against the wall. You're isolating the only social species that survives on cooperation. Great plan. The medic paused again, then reached into a compartment and retrieved a thin, flexible slab. It handed it to Marcus. This contains visual records of other human specimens. Perhaps their behavior will assist your adaptation. He took it, turning it over. The surface flickered to life, showing grainy clips of people. One screamed in a containment unit. Another pressed their face against a transparent wall, sobbing. A third sat motionless, eyes glazed. Where did you find these people? They were acquired during early expeditions. From fractured colonies. Abandoned vessels. None survived. Marcus stared at the screen. They didn't die from injuries. They died from being alone. They deteriorated without external stimuli. Their minds fractured. He looked up. And you thought my headache meant I was terminal? Your cranial activity mirrored theirs. But you did not decline. Because I complained. I yelled. I made jokes. You call that ritual. I call that staying human. The medic was silent for a moment. Then it turned to the cylinder again. New variable noted. Expressive defiance. Marcus shook his head, lips twitching. You're just realizing that? The floor shifted a third time, this time more sharply. A vertical slit opened in the far wall, revealing a narrow corridor that pulsed with light. The medic gestured. Follow. Your habitat awaits. The commander will monitor remotely. Is this the part where I'm supposed to feel grateful? No. Gratitude is not expected. Survival is. He followed, limping slightly. The corridor angled downward, lined with what might have been biosensors or just very bored-looking lights. At the end, a transparent door hissed open, revealing a chamber about the size of a small apartment. It had a cot, a water dispenser, a flat surface with tools, and a viewport looking out into a swirling cloud of deep crimson gas. Marcus walked in, glanced around, and dropped onto the cot. The door sealed behind him with a soft click. A mechanical voice filtered through a small speaker overhead. Observation begins now. You may request non-invasive support once per rotation. You're not even gonna tell me what that means in actual time? Silence. He sighed, staring up at the ceiling. Great. Solitary confinement with mood lighting. Later, how much later? He couldn't tell. The viewport dimmed, and a soft chime rang out. A tray emerged from one wall, holding a steaming bowl and a cup of what looked like tea. Marcus sniffed it. Not unpleasant. Slightly floral. He drank the tea first. It had a calming effect. Then he poked the bowl. Some kind of protein mash, warm and textured like grits. He ate slowly, watching the gas clouds outside drift past like syrup in water. Eventually, the speaker clicked again. Your demeanor remains active. Emotional decay delayed. Marcus wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. You're not gonna get a data point where I give up, so you might want to prepare for a long, confusing ride. Your hostility is inefficient. It's not hostility. I'm just not a fan of being abducted and misdiagnosed because I asked for aspirin. The speaker was silent for a long time. Then, you endure. That is unexpected. Marcus leaned back, folding his arms behind his head. Yeah, that's kind of our thing. Marcus woke to the unmistakable sound of water boiling somewhere nearby. Not the soothing hiss of a kettle, but more like pressure building inside something that very much should not be boiling. He sat up, ribs protesting, shoulders still wrapped in that alien mesh. The room wasn't vibrating, it was pulsing. Subtle but rhythmic. Like a heartbeat, only not his. I didn't order a haunted spaceship, he muttered. The wall across from him shimmered, then retracted, revealing the short medical alien still dragging that unwieldy equipment pack, flanked by an entirely new figure. This one was taller than the medic, but not as looming as Ulith. No armor, no visible command insignia. Its body looked softer, almost spongy, like it had been grown rather than built. Thin, elongated arms hung loosely at its sides, and its skin rippled faintly with pale orange hues. This is Researcher Vel, the medic announced. They specialize in psychological anomaly clusters. Vel blinked slowly, its eyes rotating in opposite directions before settling on Marcus. You've maintained structural and cognitive integrity longer than any other terminal subject. I'm not terminal, Marcus said. I had a concussion. You got to stop labeling us like defective toasters. Vel responded by tilting forward, not quite a bow, more a calibration of posture. The designation has been suspended. You are now categorized under Class 17, persistent organics with unstable recovery patterns. Catchy, Marcus said. Is there a T-shirt? Vel ignored that. We are here to study what your systems consider coping mechanisms. The medic added, the gas cloud we traversed disrupted standard scans. Your emotional frequencies became unreadable. This is unusual. I was asleep. You were processing. Vel approached the cot, moving with an odd, floating gait. It extended a limb that unfolded into a flat, reflective surface. Please describe the function of this. Marcus leaned closer. It was a cracked mirror. His own face stared back, messy hair, bruised cheek, a cut healing along his jawline. It's a mirror. Yes. You use it to reaffirm identity? No, he said, frowning. I use it to see if I look like I've been hit by a space bus. Vel's skin darkened to a muted bronze. Your humor is not deflection. It is reinforcement. That is rare. I'm not trying to be rare. I'm trying to stay sane. The medic tapped a pad. Subject exhibits higher than average homeostatic stubbornness. That's not a medical term. Now it is. The wall behind them clicked and slid open again, revealing a new addition to the room, a metal table with a tray of unfamiliar tools. Some looked like medical instruments. Others resembled kitchenware. One was just a stick with a glowing tip. Marcus pointed. That better not be a thermometer. Vel replied, this is a cognitive probe. It stimulates memory recall through scent, texture, and temperature variance. I'm not licking anything. No contact required. The probe hovered, then emitted a faint hum. A scent filled the room with smoke and salt. Marcus blinked. That's weird. That smells like my grandfather's cabin. The probe shifted frequency. The scent changed, now it was hot asphalt and diesel fumes. My old bus stop, Marcus said slowly. How are you doing this? The brain stores memory fragments with chemical associations. We're mapping yours. Marcus stood, careful to avoid jarring his shoulder. Why? To isolate your resilience triggers. You associate discomfort with familiarity. This stabilizes you. Or maybe I'm just remembering where I got through worse days. Vel turned toward the medic. This one does not suppress chaos. He categorizes it. We suspected as much, the medic replied. but it is inefficient. Efficiency isn't the goal, Marcus said. It's endurance. Movement outside the viewport drew his attention. The gas cloud was clearing, revealing a pale, cratered moon below. A landing platform extended from the ship's underbelly like a peeled tongue. We're stopping. Briefly, said the medic. Ulith has requested a final evaluation. Your data set is complete. Final evaluation sounds like something people don't walk away from. Vel placed the memory probe back on the tray. No harm will come to you. You are to be returned. Marcus blinked. You mean Earth? Yes. Your behavior has exceeded expected thresholds. The study concludes with reintegration. The medic adjusted the wrap on his shoulder. You will be given appropriate analgesics this time. That's all I wanted in the first place. Your species escalates quickly. Marcus pulled on the simple tunic they'd given him. It had no seams, but stretched easily across his torso. We're adaptable, mostly because we have no choice. Vel gestured toward the exit. Please follow. Ulith awaits. The corridor leading to the central chamber had changed. Gone were the sterile whites and pulsing blues. Everything now glowed amber like the inside of an old lighthouse. The air smelled faintly metallic like ozone before a storm. Ulith stood at the far end, arms folded behind its back, flanked by two silent observers in dark cloaks. Its eyes were dimmer than before. You have not fragmented, Ulith said without preamble. Nope. You have not demanded vengeance, compensation, or retribution. I asked for water. And painkillers. And you endured psychological isolation, invasive diagnostics, and environmental trauma. I complained a lot, Marcus said. That's different. Ulith nodded once. You exhibit an undesirable trait. Thanks. Adaptability without clarity. Endurance without defined limits. It is unnerving. Marcus stepped forward slowly. We're not built to be efficient. We're built to survive. Sometimes that means being chaotic, loud, annoying. Sometimes it means asking for aspirin in the middle of a crisis. Ulith gestured to the cloaked figures. They are Concord delegates. They have reviewed the findings. You are to be released. And the others? The humans you had before me? They were not recovered with clarity. Their patterns were fragmented. You are the first to stabilize. Marcus exhaled. So stop calling headaches terminal. Ulith paused. Reclassification will be submitted. Vel offered Marcus a small device. Place this on your chest. It will guide the retrieval team to a safe drop point. You will be sedated during transit. Marcus hesitated. I'm not going to wake up in another crate, am I? No. You will awaken near your origin. Medical personnel will be informed discreetly. He attached the device. It hummed softly. Ulith stepped forward one last time. Your presence has unsettled our assumptions. I'll take that as a compliment. It was not intended as one. Marcus grinned anyway. Hours later, though the sense of time was warped by sedation, he opened his eyes to the familiar buzz of fluorescent lights. White ceiling tiles. A faint antiseptic tang in the air. A human face leaned over him, clipboard in hand. Name? Marcus Penner. You've been missing for 6 days. Found unconscious near the Nevada test range. No ID on you. You all right? He nodded slowly. I had a headache. Someone finally gave me water and painkillers. The nurse blinked. I'll get the doctor. As she walked away, Marcus stared up at the ceiling, letting out a long breath. For the first time in days, nobody was scanning his memories, mislabeling his symptoms, or trying to file him under a category. He wasn't terminal. He was just human. And that, apparently, was more confusing than anyone had expected.